Finally. So thank you for being so patient. But then you've had a lot of practice here, haven't you? So turn off your cell phone. And by the way, thank you for donating. That pays our rent and it pays for our tech. And nobody else gets paid. The presenters all do it free. And I organize these things for years because I'm a nut, obviously. So our first presenter is Laura Alexander, and they are binary, a creative, for some reason I can't talk, a creativity coach and freelance editor with a background in language learning and teaching from Western Washington University. After teaching English abroad in France, they took a detour to corporate real estate and marketing for 6 years before starting their own business, Scribe and Sunshine, in 2021. Having grown up with depression and anxiety in a strict religious environment, Laura found it difficult to follow their passions or veer off the well-trodden path for fear of making mistakes. This perfectionism would serve them well as a copy editor, but poorly as a business owner. They began making ugly art as a way of deconstructing the debilitating aspects of perfectionism, like avoidance and fear of failure, and discovered a wealth of creativity they hadn't realized was there. They now coach individuals and offer unconventional workshops to encourage people to return to their creative nature by embracing the word ugly and making art anyway. Laura? Did anybody show this?
So, this one.
Maybe use this one, because
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, hello everybody. Hello. Thank you, Lynn. Yes, hello, I'm Laura Alexander. I use they, them pronouns, and I am an ugly art coach, which is a funny title I've given myself, which just means I encourage people, both artists and non-artists alike, to make as much ugly art as they can, as much as serves their journey, and to love their ugly art, which is a really hard thing for a lot of people to do. We're really hard on ourselves. I don't know if you've noticed this. But yes, as Lynn mentioned, my journey has taken a lot of detours, and ultimately, ugly has become the word that has become my joie de vivre, my purpose in life. I love making ugly art. I love talking about it. And that word is very subjective. So you're going to see a lot of ugly art. You're going to think some of it's ugly. You're going to think some of it's not. You might think all of it is. But ultimately, this word is subjective to each individual, and what I've come to think of it as is permission. It's permission to get started and to make art, whatever it looks like, or to do whatever it is that you're curious about doing. But my journey began because, as Lynn mentioned, I was a perfectionist who started a business and realized that being a perfectionist was a problem. You can't really be a perfectionist and try new things. It doesn't work very well. So I started making ugly art intentionally, kind of on the side, on top of, doing my business. I had already quit my job, so I needed to make money. So I needed to work through these issues. I needed to work through my avoidance and to just do the thing. So I started making ugly art and challenging myself in these moments to make a mistake, training my nervous system that it was, in fact, okay and safe to do so. So playing around with proportions, with spelling, especially as an editor, spelling mistakes are a big no-no. playing around with colors that I hated. I ended up with a lot of scribbles, a lot of things that look like a 4-year-old made them, and truly just started having so much fun doing this. And I kind of started wondering, I was like, why doesn't everyone do this? And a lot of people get just so caught up in, their heads of what they can and cannot do. And for people who are artists, and I'm sure many of you are, you might be like, well, duh, you're gonna make ugly art along the way in your pursuit of an artist's life. It didn't occur to me. It never occurred to me as someone who is a perfectionist who followed, checked all the boxes in life, did what I thought what my family had told me I needed to do. So I ended up just making a lot of weird stuff and finding out what delighted me and really started delighting myself. And in this process, I realized that there was a lot of surprises to be found in creativity. This piece in particular started off on a really anxious day for me, and I was just using my hand that was full of energy to put dots on a page, just over and over dots on a page. And then I thought, why not connect these dots? And then as I connected the dots, I started to see faces. And so I gave the faces eyeballs and mouths. And what ended up being a weird blob of animals. And I really loved it. So then I was like, oh, maybe I'll try it again. And then I didn't like it as much the second time. But each time I learned something new about my art, about the techniques I wanted to use. I ended up having so much ugly art, I was like, what the hell am I going to do with all of this? Ended up cutting it up and making something even more hideous. I just heard, it's not, it's beautiful. Again, ugly is completely subjective. But what I ended up learning is that unbridled creativity, when we truly let ourselves make art, see ourselves in a moment when maybe we're judging ourselves a little bit, it's an express lane to joy and connection to ourselves, connection to other people when we allow and invite other people into this journey with us. And this realization really sparked a revolution for me. I wanted to talk about it constantly. I was like, did you guys know that you can just do stuff? I didn't know that. Isn't this amazing that we can just do stuff for the love of doing that? So I started the Ugly Podcast. An entrepreneur friend and I were having these discussions about being creatives, being entrepreneurs. And I was like, you know what? We got to make a podcast. And I knew it wasn't going to be, I didn't know how to start a podcast. So I was like, well, let's set the bar low. So it's the Ugly Podcast. And it's been streaming here in Tacoma ever since its birth on Radio Tacoma. And I'm still doing it today. My friend had to step down as they focus on their business and their family, but I interview other creatives and talk about how they navigate the mental roadblocks that get in our way, that stop us from being creative, that hold us back from making the art that we want to make. So we explore all of these topics, and it's lovely. It's my passion project. It's delightful. I continued to make art through this process, using it as a way to figure out what was happening to me during this process, because it was making art regularly was helping me realize a lot of things about myself that I wasn't expecting to learn. I started getting in touch with my little emo self, that little teenage version of me who would write sad poetry and just wanted to be seen, but never thought that was creative, never thought that was worth showing people. So I got to give more space for that version of me to show up. I started using art as a way of playing with my feelings. What does a feeling look like? It doesn't look like anything, but with art, it does. How that feeling changes over time. I started making these little feelings paintings, these watercolors, just sitting with myself in the moment asking, what color am I, what texture am I, and putting that on the page. Ended up being a really beautiful therapy for myself. I worked with different mediums, collage, painting. Oh no. No, it's okay. Uh-oh. Erik. He's on it. So this message just continued to show up for me. Surprises are found among the rot. What we think is ugly, that's where there's beauty. It's the contrast of both, and there's a duality that's there, but it doesn't need to be one or the other. It can be both. So I started doing this with other people, leading virtual workshops. I led these intuitive, ugly art vision boarding workshops with my writing community. And that has been a wonderful, beautiful experience. We do that every month. I started, asking what else I wanted to foster in my creativity, bringing art with me wherever I go, trying out different things, different styles, pointillism, abstract, blobs. This was one of my favorite paintings I've ever made. And I think it's the only painting I've ever made so far, acrylic-wise. But I was just with my cousin, and we just decided to make big brush strokes and see what happened. Eventually I saw a bird, and the bird became a phoenix. And it's still one of my favorite paintings I've made today. Ultimately, I started using art as a way to create altered spaces for myself for healing and discovery. These weird liminal spaces, and in that process discovered my queerness, discovered that I'm genderqueer, and started exploring other aspects of myself, and ultimately getting divorced. And then art became a place for me to heal through that and discover who I am and who I wanted to be. Ultimately, it is a place of evolution and allowing myself to evolve through my art, personally and beyond, has been an incredibly rewarding experience, to the point where I know that everyone is creative now. As myself, I never thought I was creative. So I now know that literally every single human being, whoever you are, is creative. So how can we allow ourselves to evolve in these ways? How can we give ourselves compassion to just create regardless of what it looks like? Ultimately, that's my message. Just make a mess of your life. It's okay to make mistakes. I started, again, expanding my workshops after the divorce, after I had time to really process a lot of that and heal. I came back to this idea of sharing this message with others. So this was my workshop with Creative Mornings. This was in person here in Tacoma. I did a junk journaling workshop. Again, junk journaling workshop. And this was at the library. I just did a library series called Subverting Perfectionism Using Ugly Art. So these were some of the monstrosities that we made, and I absolutely love them. And ultimately, I keep saying ultimately, art became, I could see how making art regularly was evolving my art. So those feelings paintings that I showed earlier started to get more complex, started to have more color, more detail. And I truly didn't know this could happen, which any artist is like, duh, when you do something, you grow. And so it's important to experience that. And then also to come back to weird little monsters that are absolute nonsense and enjoy that too. It's all part of this process of evolving. So these are some of my most recent things that I've made where I've been able to see a style emerge, something that are more personal to me, that are able to be translated onto the page. So ugly, again, takes on new meaning. It became permission for my style to evolve. And generally, when you're afraid to move, you sit down and you create. And I'm branching out to all all mediums now. So I've ventured into ceramics. I'll be leading a workshop next Saturday here in Tacoma. We're going to all make ugly mugs and learn about this process of transforming shame, so depicting your shame in the clay and then deciding what you want to do with it. Do you want to cover it over? Do you want to integrate it into a new design? And making it something new and taking control of the things that usually control us. So that is what I do, and that is the art that I make. Thanks very much.
Questions? Anybody sell your work?
I have not ventured into selling my work quite yet, mostly because I'm lazy and don't want to make a shop.
Here we go. The whole paradigm of starving artists. Are you getting sponsors for your podcast? I mean,
There are no sponsors for my podcast.
do you want to? The whole capitalism thing, right? So,
Capitalism is unfortunate, and I do need to survive in it. Thankfully, my editing work does that for me. I would love to figure out how to get the podcast to make money. I haven't spent enough time specifically on that to do that. And it's also a thing where I'm very conscious of how my art might change if I start putting pressure on it. So I'm doing so very slowly and deliberately because I'm still a perfectionist at heart. And so I'm very aware that putting that kind of pressure on my art, and like selling my art, could make me ultimately shy away from it. So I'm approaching that slowly, exploring it slowly.
sorry, you're ready to divorce. So,
Oh, it's okay. It was a great decision.
been there, done that.
Yeah.
Any more questions?
So where do we go to sign up for your classes? Or
Ooh, good question. I do have a couple flyers up here, so I'm happy to hand those out. And my business is Scribe and Sunshine. It's a conglomeration of my editing work and my creative work. And so you can find out about events at scribeandsunshine.com, and I'm also on Instagram at scribeandsunshine. Yeah.
Scribe and Sunshine.
Yes.
Okay.
Great.
How many people here are on the Tacoma Art Commission listserv? Raise your hand. That looks like almost half. That's good. Well, if you don't know about it, I found out about Lore because she posts on the listserv all the time. So that is a free service. You sign up for it, and you get emails about mostly art events, theater things, music things. And you can post yourself, and when you do, it goes out to all the subscribers. I don't know how many subscribers there are right now. Sometimes it's thousands. So it's a great way to freely advertise. So our next show is, we've seen it up on the screen. It has to do with the history of LeROY Jewelers, an institution here in Tacoma. And it'll be presented by Steph Farber and his wife, Phyllis Harrison. So Steph is a lifelong Tacoman and graduate of Stadium High School, a BA in English from the U of W, and an MA in education from PLU led him to a teacher core position with the Tacoma Public Schools. He worked with underprivileged students for several years until TPS decided that one of the reasons his students were underprivileged was that he was one of their teachers. In 1973, he joined the family business, LeROY Jewelers, as a manufacturing jeweler and designer. His involvement in downtown Tacoma and the arts includes board membership with the Pantages Center, Broadway Center, the Children's Museum, Temple Beth El, the Downtown Merchants Group, the American Leadership Forum, and First Night Tacoma Pierce County. So these folks have done a lot for Tacoma. You're probably familiar with them. Oh, and Steph is currently co-chair of the City of Tacoma Parking Technical Advisory Group. Don't worry, you don't have to pay for parking around here at this time of night. Phyllis Harrison is also a Tacoma native. Wainwright, Hunt, and Wilson Silas, who, like so many of us, left and returned several times. She holds a BA in English from WSU, an MA in English from Colorado State University, and a PhD in folklore from Indiana University. She returned to Tacoma in 1988 to curate a touring exhibit of maritime folklife from the Puget Sound region, which ultimately led to working with Mike Vlalovich. I'll let you guys pronounce it properly when you come up here, to create the Commencement Bay Maritime Center, now known as the Foss Waterway Seaport. Steph and Phyllis.
I just wanted to start out saying thank you, Lynn. Thank you for inviting us. You spoke of first night Tacoma Pierce County. Lynn, thank you. Lynn was one of the stars of First Night. For several years, she created the extravaganzas that we would have just prior to or just leading up to midnight on First Night. The most famous or infamous of which was one that involved opera singers and bales of waste paper and rolling heads of local celebrities that almost caused a riot, but didn't quite. She's wonderful and is a gift to this community. Oh, look at us.
I guess I should see where the slides are going.
Yes. LeROY Jewelers. LeROY Jewelers was founded in Tacoma in 1941 and has been in Tacoma, been on Broadway between 9th and 13th in 5 different locations. And the place we're in right now is going to be, there won't be a 6th location. We like where we are. It was started by my dad, Irving Farber, who graduated from Stadium, then went to the University of Washington, got a degree in English, and graduated during the Depression, so there was no payroll anywhere. And he was an English major who couldn't find a job. Can you imagine such a thing? There was a little project that was going on in the state that looked like it might be able to support some people. So he and his college roommate, Jack Slotnick, went to Coulee City where they were building a dam. They did not work on the dam, but they opened a jewelry store. There was a grocery store in Tacoma that was going out of business. They bought a couple of the display cases, they broke them down, put them in an old Ford, drove to Coulee City and opened a jewelry store. And there what they discovered was that on payday, the workers at the dam could drink, they could gamble, they could do other stuff. And come Monday, when they were feeling guilty towards their moms or their wives or their girlfriends or their wives and their girlfriends, they could buy atonement gifts. And that's what these people provided. At the time the jewelry store closed down, or the time the dam was almost built, they closed that down and they moved to Tacoma.
How many stores did they have?
Oh, they had 2. They were in Coulee City. Has anybody here been to Coulee City? Cooley City is a little smaller than this room. My mom lived there. Yeah, oh, okay.
I grew up there.
Okay, then you know how small it was. They had 2 jewelry stores by the time they closed down there. One was selling jewelry, one was selling watches. A national firm that supplied the watches sent their salesmen out because they could not believe that any one business could sell that many watches. And figured that they were just laundering money well before money laundering happened. They did not, they passed. So this was their first store inside that, inside the building we saw back there. If you spent any time looking at that, you see cases with rings, you see cases of silver flatware. There's a radio in there. There's some watch repair at the back. It's a diamond store, and
3 minutes gets you credit.
3 minutes gives you credit. They were selling credit. When they opened in Tacoma, there were about a dozen jewelry stores in the downtown, in the blocks between 9th and 13th, they had to make their way there. And so these guys were promoters. Phyllis, why don't you want to continue here?
Sure, you want to back up just a minute?
Sure.
So, thank you. So these guys were indeed promoters. Now, they've come from a boomtown. They've come from a place where they started with 1 store, they ended up with 2, and now they're in a prosperous downtown in a I don't know how we describe the size of Tacoma at that point, but they're in a prosperous, a thriving downtown, and they need to do their best to get as many customers as they can. And they did a pretty good job of it. You can do the next one, thank you.
I can do that.
Yeah. So the newspaper ads that these guys came up with were amazing. Anything would do for a promotion. The local hockey team, when Irving's partner Jack went to war, there was a sale. When they had a flood in the building they were in, and they had a sale. Anything would do. One of the things that happened that I thought was interesting looking at their ads, well, again, here we are looking at Army ads. And if you notice the one in the top, I hope it's legible in the back, they were right across from the Blue Mouse Theater. Anything will do for a promotion. The next one.
All right.
Actually, we need to back up for a minute.
Okay, we're backing up.
This is our usual routine. Guess who didn't run through this morning? The building they were located in, their first spot in Tacoma, was at 11th and Broadway, the old Fidelity building. So while they were running ads in the newspaper and generating business for the store, something else happened in 1949.
1949. This is a corner that most recently was Woolworth's. 1949, there was a pretty serious earthquake in Tacoma. The Fidelity building was destroyed, and they had to find a new place to go. So there we go. They moved to a block further south, a couple doors up from Safeway. From Sears. Anybody remember Sears? They were a couple doors up from Sears. They had a larger space. It was a lighter space, a brighter space. They did not sell flowers, but I think this was opening day at that store. And let's see if I can do this. There's still no, I can't do this.
That went very fast. I can't talk that fast.
Okay. Okay. There's still silverware. There's still
Mixing bowls.
Mixing bowls.
Looks like.
There are radios still. They sold pretty much anything because they were merchants and promoters. Ultimately, they sold baseball mitts, and they sold mix masters, and they sold deep fryers for some. They sold everything. Let's see.
Who swept the floor?
I swept the floor. That was really a much bigger floor when I was little. And this is, go ahead.
Okay, so credit continued to be a big part of their marketing campaigns. And we had to put in this slide because of the car, of course. So,
I will point out that those 2 neon signs are still on our building.
yeah,
And they've made the first one, the flat one, has made it 84 years now.
yeah.
It works. It works. They made things pretty good in those days.
Manufacturing, yeah.
So their marketing starts to take a little bit of a shift here, and part of it, I think, is also a shift in the nature of the store. Up to this point, they were pretty much, jewelry was not necessarily the hugest part of the store, because there were all these other good and wonderful things. Focus turns more towards jewelry, and in that era, things related to jewelry like flatware and china. Everybody had to have a hope chest. But they would start running things like promotions.
There we go.
Yeah, the 52 Club, $1 down takes it home. So there's credit's still a major thing. But then we get into also contests. The favorite table where groups, the Rebecca Lodge, the Mecca Club, Daughters of Norway, would put together beautiful table settings, and I don't know who judged the contests, but probably Hazel and crew.
The fix was not
Yeah,
in.
the fix was not in. They had a Bride of the Week club where a bride would be featured in a full page or almost a full page ad in the newspaper with china and crystal and flatware, all of those things you just had to have. But also reaching out into the community. It's not just about the $1 a day that takes it home. It's about the contest as well. And we also start seeing ads that start talking about sharing information with the customer about what they're actually buying. A growing interest not just in 1,000 pendants in a jewelry case, but really the pieces that make them up, and an interest in diamonds and teaching people about gemstones. Now, this is certainly not the way we would talk about diamonds today, but it's a step in that direction.
A half carat for $355? No.
Yeah, probably not.
Not today.
And competitions where they would have brandy snifters, was it one of the grocery stores, brandy snifters with one diamond in the midst of rhinestones or whatever, or somebody guessed the diamonds.
You'd bring in a stone that you picked, they would tell you if you have a diamond or not. Strangely enough, the wives of all the Tradewell grocery store
Okay.
managers all seem to be the ones who found the diamonds.
How could that be? But I think that speaks to a very different kind of community, and to a reaching out into the community that was not necessarily there before.
There's one more here. There we go.
Yeah. So, actually, I'm stepping into your territory at this point. But so this was a typical LeRoy Jewelers window at that particular time. This one was featuring Bulova watches, a far cry from what you might see in one of our windows today.
Yeah, this was the sign. The sign toward the center right says, "Take home your Bulova and pay in 1965." This also happened about the time of Sputnik. This also happened at about the time that the Bulova Watch Company had created a revolutionary watch called the Accutron that was different from all other watches and is still being marketed today. But they built this big window about it.
And
Go ahead.
So while many things were bubbling away and working beautifully, another thing was happening in Tacoma that was impacting retail in downtown, and that was the beginning of the Tacoma Mall, which was rapidly siphoning off that retail core as people flocked to the mall. And at least one person decided to dig in her heels.
Yes.
Yeah.
At that same time, at the beginning of 1965, my dad died. Now, my mother, who had been working with him pretty much constantly, she was suddenly left with a business in a downtown that was not prospering, with one son away at college, another son who was going to college the next year, and what was she going to do? One other thing I should share with you is that when my dad died, there were salesmen who would travel the country, travel from city to city, representing different jewelry companies. You would buy a bunch of rings, you would buy watches, you would buy other things from these people. And they were made in New York, they were made in Chicago, and they were shipped out to you, and that's what you sold.
Drummers, right?
They were called drummers. They were salesmen.
Yeah.
Right after my dad died, several of these salesmen were at a hotel. I think it may have been the Winthrop. They were at a hotel, and one of them started a pool. And the pool was, let's see how long that dame on Broadway will try to run a jewelry store, because everybody knows a woman can't run a jewelry store. Two things happened at that point. One was, for some reason, that guy never got another order from us. But the other thing is that my mother retired from the business at the age of 85. So apparently a woman can do that kind of work. So what did she do when she had the two kids, one in college, one about to go to college in downtown, is not doing well? Her husband had just died. What she did was she moved the store up a block again, up to the spot where the theater on the square is, just down from the Pantages. And she opened a new store there. She moved it there. And it is bigger, and I didn't even have to be small to see that the floor there was wider. And she did a big job with China, and she did a big job with watches, you can see there. And she also did a big job with changing the way she was doing business, and we were doing business. My mother was a daughter of a teacher, and teaching was part of what she believed in. And she knew that if we were going to survive, if we were going to prosper in downtown Tacoma, there was now the Tacoma Mall that had many, many jewelry stores out there. There were neighborhood jewelry stores. There were strip malls just coming around. And if we had the same stuff and did the same thing everybody else did, why come downtown? So what she did was, first she educated herself even more. While I was doing homework for Stadium, she was doing homework for the Gemological Institute of America, learning about diamonds. She bought one of the first microscopes to look at diamonds that she needed in buying goods, but she also taught her customers, what to look for when you're buying a diamond. So her job was educating as well as selling. Where are we here? And this was her home away from home. Oop. And we have made it. We have gone.
So should we go on? Okay, 2 minutes. Okay.
Right.
So actually, if you'll back up just a minute, a couple of things. One, I mean, that became Hazel's seat, and that for the rest of her career with LeRoy Jewelers. But she was also revolutionary in bringing in a chair to sit clients down in front of her and talk to them about what they wanted to do, what was their story, and yes, we will help you tell it.
Okay. One more, and there she is.
Yeah.
No, yes.
Yeah.
One of the things we did was we brought, as the city emptied out, we brought in, when we were the corner store between 9th and 11th and Broadway, there was nobody else on our block. We brought in, we refurbished, and we put up a big street clock for the city that said basically, we're not going anywhere, and this is a good place to be. Last thing?
Well,
here we go.
one final thing about Hazel.
Yeah.
During that period of time, Hazel's legend continued to grow, and there was a time when Erling Morik?
Oh, the city manager, when somebody would come in with an idea for redeveloping downtown or doing something on the waterway, his question to them was, "Have you talked to Mrs. Farber?" That's it.
So I, at some point, took a job at the Broadway Center, which is where I met Steph. I'll condense a lot of history here. And one way or another, Steph and Hazel wound up helping me launch the Art Stop, a contemporary craft gallery, which ultimately, when we got married, moved into 940 Broadway with LeROY Jewelers. And I can remember spending many an hour polishing cases, listening to Hazel sell diamonds, and wondering how I would ever be able to talk to people about gemstones. Anyway, and these are some of the pieces that we have made. And
Telling people's story. It's not like, do you want this ring or this ring? What is a ring that tells your story? What is the thing that could be yours and not anybody else's?
so this is a particularly interesting piece.
A challenge.
This was a challenge. One of our clients, who has a lovely collection of family jewelry, had a pair of pearl earrings that had been kind of taken apart in pieces used for this, that, and the other thing. And he brought us 2 pieces from those earrings and said, design a pendant with these, but you have to use pieces from these old empty mountings, and you have to use them as they are. You can't melt them down and make them into something else.
Yes.
And the pieces were,
right,
yeah.
those were the semicircles.
Yeah, 2 little half circles.
And although it's hard to read this, this is just a fabulous gemstone. And we built you can see over here, we built a round surface that reflected the whole thing. It tells a story. It's unlike anything anybody else in the world has. And it just looks really cool.
And I'll talk really fast, but let's share the stories on the others.
Okay.
And we can zoom through the ads. So this was one of our first computer-assisted design projects, which was quite shocking. This was a client who was an avid knitter, and she wanted a knitted ring. And thanks to the world of computer, we were able to do this.
But his story was he didn't care about knitting, but he collected glass art. And the glass artist he really liked was somebody who did these kind of teardrop kind of shapes. And so we built a ring that can...
And the centerpiece was are the diamonds from her original engagement ring. So,
Yes.
yeah.
One other thing, our touch with the community. Russell, don't love me and leave me. This was when the Russell Company was thinking about leaving Tacoma. And we put this on a billboard right by the Russell Company. And within 12 minutes, we started getting people at the Russell Company started emailing these all around the building. And
one of our hallmarks has been kind of outrageous ads. So continuing the
yes.
unusual marketing. Yeah.
We found that humor doesn't hurt. Why buy your jewelry where you buy your underwear? And there's more stories about that one, but I'll go on. The breast ad.
This was probably our most daring, and Hazel loved it. She loved it.
Yes. We had 2 beautiful earrings, and how do you say these are beautiful earrings? You put them in a place where people are likely to look at it. There's another story about this one, too. Lastly...
So the Spectrum Awards are kind of the Academy Awards for the jewelry industry. And in the time that they're internationally known, they're awarded by the American Gem Trade Association. And LeROY Jewelers and Steph have been honored to receive 3 in the course of our career there. This was one of them, Waterfall. It's quartz and diamond and moonstone and platinum. This is a pendant. You don't see the chain, but this is a pendant, carved quartz backed by mother of pearl, pave Montana sapphires and diamond, and then a blue chalcedony also backed with mother of pearl.
Call this the fanciest Zippo lighter you'll ever see.
Yeah. This is a magnificent graduated strand of matched aquamarines. These literally glow in the dark.
And that is
Yeah.
that is what we do. And this is who we are.
And- Thank you. We wanted to say one more thing. Going from arriving in a downtown with dozens of jewelers, surrounded by dozens of jewelers, going to the only jeweler, actually the only jeweler in downtown, we're now really happy to say there are 2 wonderful jewelers downtown. Fancy Pants, they are the second location for Furcrest Jewelers, and they are our colleagues and neighbors on Antique Row, so yeah, when we welcome them.
Questions?
I don't know, you may have mentioned, where did you get the name? I think you were pronouncing it Leroy. I grew up in the South and it's Leroy. So where'd you get that name?
Well, going back to here, come on, we can do this. There we go. When my dad, this was marketing research of 1941. When my dad and his partner found this location, you can see over the doorway of the store, there was room for 5 letters. So he and his sister were playing a game of anagrams, and Leroy came up and they said, "Sounds like a good name." That's how Microsoft and Coke started, isn't it? Now, Phyllis has another take on this story.
Well, I think it came out of a bottle of scotch, but they're not mutually exclusive. Thank you.
Questions?
What happened to the clock?
Oh, you got another 15 minutes for me? The clock was on Broadway for about 30, close to 40 years. The gears had worn down so much that had one of the gears failed, the whole thing would have been destroyed. And so the clock, which we had made sure was owned by the city of Tacoma, was taken down. The city needed to take care of some rust in the case, and we had the movement rebuilt. The movement has been in the front of LeRoy Jewelers for the last
Inside.
for about 2 years. The city of Tacoma hasn't found the money to finish the case. And the big problem there is that that clock, which had been outdoors for well over 100 years, in rain, in hot days, in rain, in snow, in more rain, and then more rain, in pigeons. That clock has been inside for 2 or 3 years, and it's getting used to being inside. And I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it, happy outside. As soon as the city finishes the case, it's going back out.
Thank you.
So next is Melinda Raebyne, who's an award-winning Taiwanese-American filmmaker. She lives and works in Tacoma, but her work spans countries across the world. She believes in our universal desire to belong and to be treated with dignity and compassion. She is drawn to and tells stories where understanding, compassion, collective action, and human resilience make the world a better place to live for everyone. As an independent filmmaker, she works intentionally with communities to share local stories that have global resonance and impact. In addition to her film and video projects, Melinda is a longtime advocate of independent and emerging filmmakers. She currently serves as a manager at Meaningful Movies Project, which educates and advocates using the power of social justice in documentary film. She has also served as event director for the Seattle Latino Film Festival in 2013 to 14, and as a youth filmmaker mentor for Tacoma's Grand Cinema Film Camp 2016 to 18. She is currently on the board of Washington Lawyers for the Arts and the Washington FilmWorks Film Leadership Council. In 2018, Melinda was one of 13 grassroots leaders selected in Pierce County, Washington, to participate in the Jane's Fellowship Program, which brings together a diverse group of leaders who are actively serving Pierce County and working to address a wide range of community challenges. She is a 2022 recipient of Firelight Media's Spark Fund, which provides support for established independent BIPOC documentary filmmakers. Melinda?
How are you guys doing? Good, good, yes, yes. I want to say thank you, Lynn, and to Erik for having me here tonight. There was some waiting. I think some of you might have known that we did not start exactly at 7 o'clock. That is because for some reason, my film is not, the audio isn't working exactly correctly. But if I did my job as an artist, which I believe that if art done correctly doesn't just allow you to capture the moment, it allows you to feel it. So if I did my work correctly, I hope that you will also be able to feel it, even though the audio may not be completely working correctly. Bear with me, it has not happened before, so, but it is what it is, right? I am gonna let my work speak for itself, and then open up for questions and answers, and also have a great little sneak peek performance that will happen after the very end. So I look forward to talking with you and engaging with you as well. Thank you.
It's not easy to accept what we've all contributed to.
It's a humanitarian scale crisis.
You can just hear all the sounds. You still see all the sights when you close your eyes.
Hot bath and cigarettes cannot wash regret from this night now. Where did this night begin? And how?
Each day it's more and more stressful.
It's heartbreaking to not be able to be there and to be with them and to pray for them.
Y que la oración de redención que se gritó en silencio ahora sea un estruendo que despierte sin temor la rabia contenida.
Started hearing people shouting, chanting.
I wanted my voice to be heard. I wanted to be part of a collective.
You are not your circumstance.
If you guys were to ask me if I was homeless, I would say no.
Everyone's got an ability to do something and to be something.
You have to keep fighting, keep fighting. No te rindas, no se rinda.
This is who I am. And there's hurt behind who I am. And this is what made me who I am. Today, this girl wants people to hear her story, to know why she's why she is. And I wasn't heard, and I was silent. And I killed myself inside being silent.
A lot of people really wouldn't notice me. Going to school, people didn't really pay any mind to me.
Hot bath and cigarettes. Cannot wash regret from this night now. Where did this night begin, and how? Currently, I can see the current runs like rapids through the kitchen sink of innocence. It goes and goes, it goes so far down. Jumping in the car now, though it's absent of a driver with passion, time is catching up. Time is cash enough. When time is gone, morals bent for money now. Motives propelled by bowstrings, bent by men that are hell-bent on getting it in above all things.
I created a monster, and she was created to tell myself every day that this is okay, this is okay, this is okay.
I didn't think about how I felt because, if anything, I just wanted it to be over. I knew if I didn't move, they wouldn't kill me, and they couldn't kill me because I was already dead, at least in my body.
If I don't know less, this is showing no more knowing from this end can bring us progress, Mr. Corporate Businessman. Let us get down to the business, man. I don't like your ways. I am not a fan.
As long as I was up there and I was laying there, letting them do what they have to do, it will end at some point if it began. I was thinking if I get back downstairs, then they can't hurt me. They can't, do anything if I'm down there.
I felt like, well, maybe this will make me feel the love that I want. I had to create somebody stronger than what I was willing to be. Not necessarily somebody that I wanted to be, somebody that I needed to be in that moment. So my self-talk getting ready for a day is, do you know how much money I'm gonna make tonight? You got this, you are so bomb, look how good you look. Oh my God, this is too easy. I think any request is an outrageous request because there's no amount of money that can make you feel comfortable with giving your body away. try to separate it. But then you forget that this is you. You are this person.
I was pretty much numb to it.
I was lost and I was scared. Somebody who didn't get the love that I was supposed to get as a child. Somebody that was looking for love. Somebody that would have done anything to feel powerful. But eventually you start to go home and you say, this is not okay. Anyways.
I guess I just didn't think that I had any value.
I lost respect for myself.
I can't make sense of it. I can't. I'm tired of surviving. I just want to be. I don't want to live with this. I took long showers until the water ran cold because I just had to get clean. I felt so dirty. I cleaned every bit of my body. Just never really clean.
You are not your circumstance. People are not their circumstance.
Just have to be willing to tell people when you need help. And I needed help and I was too scared to ask. It won't be forever. Even though it feels like it lasts forever. It'll get better. And you're gonna look back. And you're gonna know that you were strong. Even when you didn't feel strong.
For all little girls, there's a way out. There is definitely a way out.
What is this? Is it giving breath because none had hope? The fight has not been fair. For our sisters, it's been hard. Somewhere, someone's life is this. Those bastards might as well be coming after kids. That's it. That's right. They do. And did. Humor me a sec. Let's call this what it is. Humans stolen. Love broken. Molded to be sold. God damn. This hurts. Our souls. Hot bath and cigarettes. Cannot wash regret from this night now. Where did this night begin? And how?
Eu desse um presente pro mundo seria a paz. І мого віку, і молодшим за мене, вони приймають дорослі рішення, які не повинні вони приймати в...
Love is the strongest emotion ever felt that can change your life completely.
I'm just trying to pinpoint an answer to where I can have some way to describe me, basically.
stuck seeing your own side? Or could you see life through my eyes? Do you see from my point of view? Or are you glued to your own views? Do you have space in your mind to see life through my eyes? To see life through my eyes.
My name is Valencia.
My name is Cari, and we are seniors at Tacoma School of the Arts.
And what we just played for you is a teaser for the song that we're writing for Melinda's documentary called Through My Eyes.
The first one, do you have to get signed releases for all the people in your films?
Yes.
You do?
That's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I'm fortunate to have a good team. Yes, Alley Cat. Can you just give us a little more about Through My Eyes? I can. Can I just real quickly, because I'm just like inside of me, it's like you don't know, like I know my work, and so I'm watching it, and it's really hard as an artist to watch you work, and you're seeing it like not being the way you had created it, right? So I just needed just to speak for some things that, like, there was a lot of audio speaking parts in the demo reel, is what we call a demo reel, which is a sampling of a director's piece. So we're missing that, so you're missing, in some ways, in my eye, the pulse of the piece. And then for sale, there is a spoken word piece by Temple, and you're missing that. And then even the sounds are really off too. And then the same with Through My Eyes. But I mean, you can get at the gist from the imagery, right? So hope.
So beautiful.
Thank you, thank you.
You did point that out. I mean,
yeah.
Still, like you said earlier, the art will speak for itself.
Thank you.
And it was very true. There was nothing, at least over for me, nothing missing.
Well, I appreciate that, because I'm sitting and I'm squirming, every part of me inside. Back to your question, Allie. So Through My Eyes looks at the world through the eyes of young children to teens. And it isn't just their stories, but it is also their footage. So all the footage that you saw on that piece is from children from all over the world. And then these two ladies, young ladies, have joined the project with the School of the Arts, and they are creating a song based on not just on the film, but also they had to answer all the questions that the participants in the film had to answer before we even started. I don't know if you want to, either of you want to say anything, because with my work, it's always, Alley Cat, you know this, it's a big collaboration, and it is really a team. And I always say that, you know, I invite you into my project because I know that you have this talent and skills to be a part of it, and I always want to hear what my team has to offer. And you know, my thing is I believe that you can teach talent to some level, right? But I can't teach your heart. So in order to participate and join with Sweet Productions and Melinda Raebyne Films, it's really about the person's heart. And I have brought people who believe in the work but don't have the skills, and they've done a phenomenal, phenomenal job. So if you're ever scared of wanting to do something and you're just afraid of it, go do it. Anyway, sorry, go ahead. Oh, for their participation.
Well, for me, with Through My Eyes, I just feel so honored to be able to do this, because with us, Cari and I, we've been a duo at SODA for quite a while, and we were actually working on a big project for perspective at school. So when we got asked to join this documentary, it was just really cool because Cari and I, we really dove deep into perspective. And with this documentary, it's just amazing being able to tell the story and be somebody else's advocate through music, and to also help bring attention in a way that you wouldn't really expect, because music, it really does move people and it does affect people. And I just feel like through this, we're really able to say something and just bring the attention that needs to be brought to.
Mm-hmm. And with the process of writing this song, we obviously can't relate to everybody's perspective, but we tried to like put ourselves in their position and try to say like what we feel we would need to say or we would have to say if we were in this position, and also using our own life experience. And you know, we are all children, and so there's one like universal feeling, I guess, just being a child, and so we took that as well, and we kind of put that all together to try to ask the question of like, would you be willing to look into our eyes and look into the eyes of these children to kind of hear our stories and see our stories in whatever way we can share them.
Thank you. Aren't they wise? And that's the thing I think we forget, is that the children and youth are so wise, and maybe through this film they will remind us how to come back to peace and to love ourselves, and that maybe we should set up a world that's a little bit easier for them to be in. And we have forgotten that we too were children, and what were the stories we wanted people to hear from us when no one was listening. And don't our stories matter? All of our stories matter. And I really resonate with ugly art, because I like to take what people don't like to look at, and I don't think it's ugly. I think it's beautiful. If we're willing to dig deep down inside, we will find that the hero that we're seeking is within each and every one of ourselves, and that your ugly story is someone's inspiration. So.
Great, thank you.
Are there any groups or individuals that you can target to ensure these girls aren't vulnerable?
Oh, apologies. Are there any groups or individuals we could target to ensure girls aren't vulnerable in the future?
In regards to the for sale, or?
Yeah. Yes.
To target, like, to reach out to? I'm sorry, I just so I'm understanding.
Just individuals and groups with nefarious intentions that are putting these individuals at risk.
To reach out to them. I mean, there is organizations here in Tacoma that work with those that are sex workers and also underage, those that are, children that are being sex trafficked as well. Did I did not answer that, Riley?
It's okay.
No.
Like the people that are doing this to them.
Yeah.
You know some of the groups who they are and like try to get them.
Oh, I see. I mean, honestly, I'm going to tell you, the majority of them is the everyday Joe. So when you saw in the piece, in the documentaries, I try to make it as authentic as what is reflective in society, and that is that the typical person that is targeted is African American. And though if you saw the percentage, was a very high percentage of over 50%, but they only make up, I just looked, 13% of our population as of the last census. And that's really alarming. But the average Joe is what they call it, is a middle-aged white male. And he typically is married. And when you saw that the setting was at a house, and that is, I think, the second or third location, that is top location when it happens. And yeah, so I mean, it's happening all around you, and sometimes we don't even know it. Does that answer?
You guys just hear me? So for I don't know, it was like 20 years ago, but I ran a sexual assault group for men and women who were trauma children from different groups of people. But and then just fast forward, but there's a network, it's called RAIN, and it's RAINN, and it's online, and it's a lot of resources, and there are a lot of resources, and somebody just got back to me, and I thought this was kind of weird, but now all the monies are coming from the government to support RAIN, but it's part of the Civil Service Defense Company or something, you know, and it's all in Washington, D.C., and I'm like, what? You know, it's like kind of weird, but the support is just so needed, and I really appreciate it, because I'm sitting here just bawling, thinking of all the stories that these adult people have shared with me, and the other thing is, we don't talk a lot about the men survivors and the little boy survivors, and that's a whole nother realm that needs to be touched on, because there's so many little boys out there that are going through the same stuff. And I learned that the hard way, because I'm in this group of people, and all these men showed up, and I'm like, it was outside my box up here thinking that, oh, this also happens to little boys and little men, and I wasn't expecting 75 people to show up in the first meeting that I advertised for, and like 25 of them were men.
Thank you for saying that, and I apologize because I forgot. It's almost 50-50. It's about 45, 55 boys to girls. So yes, you are absolutely right. And a lot of the LGBTQ go out on the streets because their families do not accept them for who they are, so it's heartbreaking. And then to make it and to survive, they go and they sell themselves. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for this chance and opportunity.
So I want to introduce Davis Freeman. He has something to say to you. He's going to be the host of the September 19th show.
Thank you. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'll be very quick. Erik? I got 3 slides to show you, or 4 maybe. Anyway, the September show is going to be very interesting. It actually is going to overlap a little bit with what we Oh, thank you. Thank you. What we heard here tonight. As soon as it picks up, well, I'll just start reading this, and the pictures will come up when they come up. So we're going to have 3 speakers. It's sort of on the edge of the holiday season starting up, so I thought it would be around clothing, sort of. We're going to have 3 speakers. The first one her name is Nathalie Bajinja. She describes herself as an arbiter of unique high-end fashions who designs one-of-a-kind garments and made-to-order contour pieces under the label Undeniably Bajinja. Now, she's 28 years old. This is the interesting part, how it relates to what we just heard. When she was 7 years old, she lost both her parents in the Congo genocide, a direct result of the Rwanda genocide as the remaining Hutu and Tutsis fled from Rwanda, and as an 11-year-old, after being traded around for 5 years. The nuns at her orphanage taught her to sew, and from there she launched her career. And let's see if we can get it. So this is what we're doing. We're having how do we go forward? I haven't used this in forever. Which one do I push to go forward? I have no idea. You have no idea? Oh, there we go. Okay. Anyway, the next one, we'll come back to we'll go on to the next one. Kelly Lyles. Kelly Lyles is a walking model of what to wear. She's a walking artist and describes herself from her website, a painter living in the Northwest, wearing and driving my art as well. This is her speaking. My vehicles, paintings, and home have been featured in a number of TV spots, books, magazines, and newspapers, articles locally, nationally, and even internationally. I also jury and curate shows and have had the privilege of leading art delegations all around the world. There's a lot to look at. When I first met her about 30 years ago, there was a car outside all painted up that looked like her. I walked into the gallery opening and I saw this woman that looked like her car. And I walked over and I said, I'm going to take a wild guess here, but that car is yours out there, isn't it? And she said, yes. And she says, hi, and she introduced herself. Let's see here.
30 years ago?
The 90s. So you'd figure it out. So here's the first woman that I spoke of, Nathalie. She's 28. This is one of her pieces, and her company is now called Undeniably Bajinja. And finally, we have Pamela Phelps. Now, Pamela is an experienced jewelry designer with a demonstrated history of working in the design industry. She also owns the Proctor Art Gallery. As a gifted jewelry designer who creates unique handcrafted jewelry, Pamela seeks out unusually cut gems of one-of-a-kind notions to conceive each piece as a distinctive treasure. So those are the three, and that's what's happening in September. So it's going to be a combination talking about how they can help you pick out stuff, even if you just want to wear sweatpants and T-shirts, or if season's coming up. And if Nathalie has time, she'll talk a bit about her incredibly, I don't know even how to describe it, how this young woman of 7 made it through that time, and she's the most delightful person you ever want to meet. Smart, creative, and I hope you all come back in a month. That's it. Great. Thank you.
So thanks everybody for coming out tonight. Erik, our tech, puts these shows on YouTube. So in about a week, you can take a look around YouTube. And these invitations I send out on email. If you're not already on the list, there's a sign-up sheet back there. And add your email to it, and I'll start sending you the invitations. And on the bottom of that is the link to the YouTube videos. Thanks.